Okay, these are some examples from exercise 606, dividing a quantity in a given ratio. So when dividing a quantity into a given ratio, if we're going to use the table method, which we'll do down here in method 2, we'll add a total ratio column to our table and we'll solve the problem. I'm just going to show you the method in the textbook first and the method that you've probably seen from year 8 onwards. And the first method is to divide $1,500 or $1,500 in the ratio of 2:3:7. So with this first method, you just go your total parts in the ratio. So total parts is 2 plus 3 plus 7, which is 12. So there are 12 parts. So what we're doing is we're dividing 1,500 divided by 12. So that will give me 1 part. So that will work out what 1 part is. So 1 part is equal to 1,500 divided by 12, which is $125. So now we have to divide the ratio into 2:3:7. So first we look at 2 parts. So 2 parts will be 2 times $125, which is $250. 3 parts will be 3 times $125, which is $375. And the last one is the 7 parts will be 7 times 125, which is $875. Okay, and you can do a final check if you want, that the 250 plus the 375 plus the 875, that should all equal $1,500, and it does. So therefore that's correct. Okay, so there are your 3 parts: 250, 375, 875. Now, so let's use the table method that we used in the last video. Again, the question is to divide $1,500 in the ratio of 2:3:7. So we just draw up our table and we will put our ratio. We've got 2:3:7, and then we need a total column. Look, normally we'll put headings here, but I don't have headings in this question. So total 7 and 3 is 10 plus 2 is 12. Then underneath we put our quantity that we might have. So the quantity we've got, it says divide $1,500 in that ratio. So $1,500 is the total. So we go $1,500 here. So we say 12 times what is 1,500? If we can't work it out, we go 1,500 divided by 12. And that we did this calculation before. It's 125. So now we know that to go from the ratio to the quantities, we just multiply each quantity by 125. So 2 times 125 is 250. 3 times 125 is 375. And 7 times 125 is 875. And we did check already that those 3 added up to the total. Okay, let's look at question 10 from the exercise. Okay, question 10, Rose, Lisa and Ali share the weekly rent of a house in the ratio of 3:2:1. So we can start our table, and we can put headings this time. So we've got Rose, we've got Lisa, we've got Ali, and we're going to put a total. I would always put a total regardless of what the question is. Then we've got our ratio, and then we're going to put our quantity underneath. There's always some quantity. So the ratio is 3:2:1. That's the ratio. And it says if the rent is $450. So let's just add up the ratio parts. We've got 3, 4, 5, 6. Now the rent is $450. That is the total. That goes under the total column, which is $450. So 6 times something is $450. To work that out, we just go $450 divided by 6 is 75. Is 75. So now we know that to go from the top row of the table, from the ratio to the actual quantity, we times by 75. So we just go that 6 times 75, that's 450. And 2 times 75 is 150. Sorry, not 6 times 75, that's a mistake. 3 times 75, is 225. Sorry, 3 times 75 is 225. 2 times 75 is 150. 1 times 75 is 75. Notice that if Rose is 3 and they're 2 and 1, Lisa and Ali are 2 and 1, then the 2 plus 1 has to equal the 3, and that does. 150 and 75 adds up to 225. But also just adding up all these three parts, they should add up to 450. So 225 plus 150 plus 75, and that does add up to 450. So checking, 225 plus 150 plus 75 is 450. Okay, there you go. Now, with a question like this, you might just want to write rows. Oh, well, they can see the quantities anyway. Okay, question 12 now from your exercise, from your textbook, sorry. It says a weed spray is made up of wetting agent and a herbicide in the ratio of 1:100. 1:100. So we've got the wetting agent and we've got the herbicide, and the ratio of those is 1:100, so I'll put ratio here. And remember, we're going to put a total column as well. And the question is, how much wetting agent to the nearest milliliter would you need to make 85 litres of weed spray? Now, 85 litres goes under the total column, but first we should add up the ratios. So 1 plus 100 is 101. So that's the total ratio parts. Here I've got my quantity. And we have to say 100 times what gives 85 litres, but they want how much wetting agent to the nearest milliliter. So what I would do, I would convert everything to mils. So this 85 litres is the same as 85,000 mils. I would convert that to mils. So we say, how do we go from 101 to 85,000? Well, if we can't work that out, we should do 85,000 divided by 101 and see what that equals. So 85,000 divided by 101. Now that's, just one sec. The answer I'm getting is 841.5841 ... What I would do is keep this in my calculator. So we know to go from the top row to the bottom, from the ratio to the quantity, we are timesing by this quantity, 841.5841 ... I just want to keep that in the calculator. So 1 times that quantity would be 841.5841, etc. But remember, they want it to the nearest mil. This is in mils, so to the nearest mil, that's 842 mils. Okay? And if you have to work out how much herbicide, let's work out how much herbicide. We need to multiply this number by 100. But what I would do, yeah, you can do that. So times that, keep that on your calculator, times it by 100, and you get 84158 to the nearest mil would be mils, but I'd make that into litres. That's 84.158 litres, okay? But if you look at the 84,158 and add the 842 mils to it, you'll get exactly 85,000 mils. Okay, so just be a bit careful with that one. All right? For question 14 in exercise 606, Tasha's daily diet consists of protein, fat and carbohydrate in the ratio of 3 is to 0.5 is to 9.5, and it says to simplify this ratio. Well, we've got decimals in this ratio, and remember, if you've got decimals, you need to multiply by something, not divide by something, to get them all into whole numbers. So if we multiply by 10, the decimal places will move all one place to the right. So I'm going to go times 10 times 10 times 10. We're going to multiply them all by 10, and I'll get 30 is to 5 is to 95. And now this ratio can be simplified. Numbers ending in 0 and 5 are all divisible by 5. So if we divide these 3 by 5, 30 divided by 5 is 6. 5 divided by 5 is 1. And 95 divided by 5 is 19. Now, the other thing we could have done to simplify the ratio, 3 is to 0.5 is to 9.5, there was another way of doing this, and I'll just do it here. 2 halves make a whole. So instead of, say, multiplying by 10 here and then dividing by 5, the other thing I could have done was just multiplied by 2, because every time you multiply halves by 2, you get whole numbers. So 3 times 2 is 6, a half times 2 is 1, and 9.5 times 2 is 19. So that was another way of doing it. So if you ever see just halves in a ratio, you can just double everything, multiply by 2, and that will simplify the ratio for you. Part B of the question says, how much protein does Tasha have in one day if she consumes 3.5 kilos of food? Answer to the nearest gram. So we're going to do up our little ratio table. Remember, we've got protein, we've got fat, and we've got carbohydrates, and then we've got a total here. So remember, we've got our ratio, and we're going to use our simplified ratio of 6 is to 1 is to 19. And if we add these up, we've got 19 and 1 is 20, 20 and 6 is 26 parts in our total. And quantity, it says how much protein does Tasha have in one day if she consumes 3.5 kilos of food, but give your answer to the nearest gram. We're going to convert, we know that our total is 3.5 kilos, but that is 3,500 grams. So instead of entering total 3.5 kilos, we can times that by 1,000 to get 3,500 grams. I'm going to go times 1,000, right? Now, we have to say, how do we go from 26 to 3,500? If we can't work that out, we should do 3,500 divided by 26 parts and just see what we get. So 3,500 divided by 26. Now that's a decimal, and I'm getting 134.615, etc. So to go from the top row to the bottom, I'm actually just going to put it here. I'm going to go times 134.615, etc. So to go, sorry, just repeating that again because something's just happened with the video. To go from the top ratio to the quantity, we're timing by 134.615. Now, please do not round that off. Just keep some decimal places there. So obviously 1 times 134.615 will be 134.615, etc. ... Rounded to the nearest gram, that's 135 grams. The next quantity, 134.615 times 6, that's, so 134.615, whatever it was, times 6, that's 807.69 grams, which is approximately 808 grams. And the last quantity, 134.61538, whatever it is, times 19, that's 2557.69, which rounds to 2,558 grams. Now, notice I've rounded them all up. So 807.69 got rounded up to 808. 134.615 got rounded up to 135, and 2557.69 got rounded off to 2,558 grams. Look, they are only, and if I actually add them up, I'm going to get 3,501. So because these have all been rounded up, that's why the total doesn't quite equal that. But look, the question's just asking how much protein rounded to the nearest gram, and that's okay. So your answer is, here, I'll just put it up here, 808 grams to the nearest gram, okay? They're actually not asking about each individual one, but do note that if you do add them up, we're over by a gram. And if you have to round one, and just mention that probably in your solution that, you know, there would be that rounding error. The next question is, how much would Tasha eat in a day if her diet contained 20 grams of fat? So what we're going to do here, we're going to write our ratios out again. So ratio protein, fat, and carb, and our total. We know that the ratio is 6 is to 1 is to 19, and the total is 26. Look, I know we're sort of writing this out over and over again. But if she's got 20 grams of fat, we'll put the 20 grams under here. And how much would she eat in one day? If you want, you can just work out the total. How do we go from 1 to 20? We times by 20. So therefore, all the rest get multiplied by 20. So 6 times 20 would be 120 grams. I don't need to do all these. I actually only need to do the total column, 26 times 20, but I'm just doing them all just to show you. So 19 times 20 is 380, so you wouldn't have to do them all. And 26 times 20 is 520 grams. This one, there's been no rounding, so they should all add up. 380 and 120, that's 500 plus 20 is 520 grams. So how much would she eat in a day if her diet contained 20 grams of fat? Well, she would eat 520 grams of food. Okay? All right, that's the answer, 520 grams. And the last question says, how much carbohydrate is in Tasha's 507 gram bowl of pasta if it contains the same ratio of components as her whole diet? So again, I just put quantity in that one up there. Let's do our protein, fat, carb, total. Remember our ratio is 6 is to 1 is to 19, which is a total of 26. And the question says if she's had 507 grams of pasta. So that's our total. That would be a total. So how do we go from 26 to 507? Well, we're not sure. So we just do 507, divide by 26 to work it out. So 507 divided by 26. Your answer's 19.5, and that's not rounded off. That's exactly 19.5. So to go from the ratio to the quantity, we're timesing by 19.5. So now we just need to multiply each of these quantities by 19.5. But they're just asking how much carbohydrate. So I wouldn't need to work them all out. I would just need to work out the carbohydrate one. So I'll just do that. 19 times 19.5 is 370.5. Okay, if we did these others, we'd have 19.5 grams of fat, and 19.5 times 6, if we wanted to work that one out, it would be 117 grams of protein. And if you add your 117, your 19.5 and your 370.5, notice that it adds up to 507. But with this, you could just put these there. You would do your total one, and you would only need to do your carb one. Okay, so how much carb? The answer is 307.5 grams of carbohydrate. Okay. All right, that's the end of that video.